Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, it is 2020.
Yeah, 2022.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like every year I go, this is the future. It's not. It's actually the present.
Yes, it's always the present.
In a way, we are all time travelers. In a way.
Yeah.
Except we like decay as we travel time too fast. And then we don't, you gotta maintain yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
They say, I always said meth is like a time traveler, where you age yourself like 20 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And meth like in a bad way too, not like in a good way. You're like, you look good with a little silver streak on your side. And your blotched skin and missing teeth, and
I remember
black eyes.
I worked
and yellow fingernails.
I worked at a drug and alcohol rehab center in Portland, which is out in California. Like a lot of the drugs will go up I-5, so they'll start like down there in the Mexico Southern California border, and they'll work their way up to like Seattle along I-5. And it was in the early 90s when like crank and speed and meth and everything were really big. And I just saw kids on that. It was so brutal. It was as bad as advertised. It was no exaggeration. Yeah. It was like sometimes you see like, this is your brain on weed and you're like, no, that's not really
not really. Maybe on meth.
Right. But on meth, it's like, no, you got to amp it up. You got to you gotta make it look
worse.
You're
being a little ridiculous on the weed thing, but you're not doing enough on the actual shit. That's
exactly. Yeah. Oof.
Like people, I just watched that video today, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm getting hungry." I got the munchies.
Yeah, for sure.
What are we talking about, Joseph?
We are talking about the book of Boba Fett, which was a sneak Mandalorian episode.
They snuck it in. All right, what else?
We'll talk about the coronavirus a little bit, like
school
closures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Talk about Neil Young, who finally joined us in our courageous boycott of Spotify.
Oh, that's right. We pulled all 180 episodes of YSGOAT from Spotify, and Spotify has not been the same since.
No, it's good.
But then Neil Young caught wind.
Right.
And did the same and pulled his content that actually makes money off of Spotify because of Joe Rogan's misinformation machine and how they paid him like $100 million to just keep lying. All right, what else? But we'll go into that in greater detail. What else are we talking about?
The big news out recently has been the Justice Breyer is retiring, giving Joe Biden a chance to put someone on the Supreme Court, and we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Perhaps what that means for Joe Biden's polling.
We're going to talk about that.
And then with the SCOTUS stuff, we're going to tell we both saw a video in which an activist took an abortion pill while debating an anti-abortion attorney.
Yeah, a woman took we'll get into that. That one's awesome.
It was a great video.
Great video.
We're going to talk a little bit about Florida's new "Don't Say Gay" law that's being pushed through the Florida legislature. I think it's funny because
by a bully from the 80s.
I think it's funny because they can't talk about the law without literally saying gay. Like it's it was almost written as like a trap Dobby would set in the Harry Potter.
Florida we need to speed up global warming so Florida disappears quicker.
Well, this is an odd one. And then we're talking about the new governor of Virginia, who has been just as bad as anyone ever would have hoped for.
Youngkin.
Yeah. He's just such a
he's a right-wing chud. We'll talk about that.
And he's not yeah, we'll talk about him. We're talking about Matt Gaetz. Some bad news for him. Coming down the criminal justice pike. And then we'll talk about the fake electors, which is
that's crazy. That's in multiple states. That has to do with 2020 election. How the tokens we're going to use. Yeah, totally normal. We're a normal thing to do. Nothing to worry about. All right.
And that's it.
And I'm sure some other things will come up as they do. But let's get into the episode 5.
Yes.
Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Starts. The camera zooms into Jennifer Beals' cleavage again.
Yes.
In the beginning of the episode. No, I'm just kidding. The episode begins with Boba Fett in a bacta tank. And he's he's thinking, he's like, oh my God.
You see the wavy lines.
You see the wavy lines, but then I guess he's dreaming about the Mandalorian, because this whole episode, spoilers for this episode, this whole episode was a Mandalorian episode.
It was.
Like, it really, and I'm joking and kidding that Jennifer Beals was not in this episode. No. And Boba Fett was actually not in the episode of the Book of Boba Fett. This episode should have been titled The Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5, The Mandalorian Spinoff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, it's almost like they should have not even called the episode The Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It should have just been called like they could have just said, like, hey, this is a special episode. Like, we got to a point in Book of Boba Fett where, like, we're at a point now, and then we're just gonna we're gonna take a week off, and we're gonna put out a one-shot special episode, catching up on the Mandalorian. The episode's amazing. I'm not complaining. I'm just
great.
Saying, from a narrative flow, it can be a little confusing. And Bryce Dallas Howard directs the episode, so I think what's his face directing every episode so far?
I think Rodriguez was. I think so, of the Book of Boba Fett.
Right, but then Bryce Dallas Howard, who's directed at least two other episodes.
She directed a couple.
She did the Bo-Katan episode last season,
which was great
too, and I think she did the one with the village in season 1.
Yes, with the decommissioned
that's the famous episode where Baby Yoda eats soup.
Yes, eats.
It was an iconic image.
Yeah. Well, I love this episode. I agree with you. It was narratively jarring. I would have had the whole episode be Fennec Shand going on a mission, and then to round up allies, and the last visit she makes would be to the Mandalorian. And then the first episode of the Mandalorian season 3 would have been basically the same thing, like the episode we saw tonight. And then at the end, you see Fennec Shand show up at the space, and it could have been like 2 different perspectives on what was happening on the same day.
I mean, yeah, we could have done that. I'll be honest with you though, I also don't mind that they did that, because that means, like, wherever the Book of Boba Fett ends, we'll probably leave the Mandalorian off on a totally different place.
True.
Because it's like, so spoilers for this episode. Mandalorian, it begins with him kind of like the way the first episode of this series begins, where he's collecting a bounty, and he even says his famous catchphrase, I'm gonna dip my balls in
Louis,
it. I'm gonna dip my balls. Say the catchphrase, and the vice president dies. I'm gonna dip my everyone.
When Louis Anderson died, I tried to work in dip my balls in it jokes throughout the day, and none of them landed. It was very disappointing.
For Louis Anderson?
Well, just because his first name was also Louis. That would have been like part of the joke.
No one will ever pick up on that.
It was like a super deep cut.
Yeah, that's right. We lost Louis Anderson and Bob Saget in like 1 week.
Yeah.
Oh, and Meatloaf.
Well, yeah.
I forgot to talk about. I guess we could add that. Let's talk about that for a minute later. Meatloaf.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say, because Meatloaf, I liked Meatloaf's music quite a bit, but he seemed kind of a jerk. I would say Betty White, Bob Saget, and Louis Anderson was the 3 bad deaths in a row.
Well, we'll all deaths are bad.
No.
Well,
No.
maybe not all that. Well, I mean, I don't think meatloaf is certain. I mean, like, all right, let's talk about this for a second before we're gonna you know what? We're gonna do a fucking weird ass break, just like the Mandalorian was like a weird like break, and then you're like, I'm expecting the 5th episode of Book of Boba Fett, where like he's gonna corral and get his army, and like maybe we'll see Bosk and Dengar again, and Forlom and Zulkis, and maybe even IGE and all my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Mandalorian. So you know what? We're gonna do a fucking hard break. We're gonna start talking about meatloaf. You know, this is so meatloaf, which is a dinner option at diners a lot, and cafeterias. Like every mom supposedly has a meatloaf recipe.
Yeah.
Do you add a lot of crumbs? Do you not?
Meatloaf. I've been a vegetarian for 30 years. Even when I ate meat. Meatloaf is disgusting.
No. If done right, meatloaf is the great thing about meatloaf is there's no real one way to do it. You either make it really good or you make it not good. And
it's just like a hamburger, a loaf of Wonder Bread and ketchup or something, isn't it? Or like...
You see, that's where I think it's regardless. That's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about the singer, actor, performer, Meatloaf.
Right.
Probably one of the best voices out there.
He was great.
We were listening. Someone listening to the Pick of Destiny, Tenacious D. Yeah. Because in that, Meatloaf plays his dad, and he's also on the soundtrack.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like his voice was so good, like, and he's great. And it's kind of fucked up. So he died at 74 of COVID.
Yeah.
He spent the last couple of years denying COVID, saying it wasn't real. He said he wasn't going to get vaccinated.
Well, he did. He said he wanted to sleep on it, and that he would.
And he won't do that. He won't do that though.
Right.
And then his lungs said, "I won't do that either." I mean, he was 74. He was Meatloaf, so I mean, there's different varying degrees of Meatloaf. Like there's like the 70s Meatloaf, where I think he's at like his most meatiest.
Right.
And then there's like Fight Club Meatloaf, where he's most bodacious because he's a bitch. But what I find funny about that is like, okay, so if Meatloaf's in Fight Club, he's great. He plays a character they all call Robert Paulson. Like he's the one that's in the testicular group or whatever.
Right.
That like Edward Norton's just in because he's in all the groups. And he joins his fucking Fight Club thing. And it leads to his death. He gets killed. And I thought about that with him being like obsessed with Trump, Meatloaf was on like the
Celebrity Apprentice.
Celebrity Apprentice. I think he was on. I think he might have been on more than once. And I think some of these dudes that were on the Celebrity Apprentice like just became weird Trump guys. I mean, I'm sure they were always conservative to begin with. Like they would have went with any Republican president, but like they were like full in on Trump. And Meatloaf became Magaloaf. Yeah.
And then he was Secretary of the Interior for 2 years. A lot of people
was not. Yes. No, I would have preferred that probably than like any other people that Trump actually put in. But yeah, it's just interesting that like he became a huge COVID denier.
Yeah.
Vaccine. And I just find it interesting because it's almost like runs in line with like his character in Fight Club, who becomes part of like a cult and is murdered because of it. He is shot in the head from like a failed botched like terrorist mission they were doing. And Meatloaf is dead because he fell into the MAGA thing and for some reason decided, no, I'm not going to get vaccinated or wear a mask because that's what MAGA do. And he's dead.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I mean, he was 74, and I'm sure he was not the healthiest 74-year-old.
No, he did a lot of loafing in that time.
A lot of
meat loafing.
Meat loafing. He probably could have got if he got vaccinated. He probably would have lived, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of sad. It's actually kind of me. It's like kind of tragic. I mean, like, we make fun of like, okay, whenever we see these like right wing like propagandists die of it, like radio
Yep.
hosts that like have made everyone's like uncle worse.
Yeah.
Like those people. I had a large audience where they made a living spreading
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't shed a tear for those fucking people. Or like that lady we talked about, I think it was like a week or two. She died of COVID.
Yeah. The one
She
from
was like,
Arlington. Yeah.
yeah, but like it was like her mission to basically spread COVID.
Yeah.
So I don't feel sympathy. I feel bad for him. It sucks. I mean, I think he had a great voice. He's a huge talent, and I don't mean like that, but and he was just like I think it's sad. So a lot of people making fun of him and stuff like that, and it just sucks because it's like it's almost like you're the victim in a way, like by falling into like the MAGA cult. I mean, like.
I look, I don't have any problem feeling bad for people that kind of get trapped into this, and celebrities are weird too because like they don't have a normal experience, like Meatloaf probably didn't have to worry about like, well, I got to stay well so I can clock in for my job at the plant,
at the Meatloaf factory,
right? I mean, a lot of the celebrities are kind of like they're used to social distancing anyway in some weird way, so I don't know. I like Meatloaf's music a lot. That Bat Out of Hell album was like, I don't know how many copies of that I've owned, just because it's such a great album and it was kind of iconic when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean, like, shit. I mean,
it's just like, because at first I heard he died. I didn't know what he died of. And then later in the day, I was like, oh, he fucking died because he was a huge COVID denier. And it was like,
it's disappointing.
It sucks because it's like, we feel like, I mean, like, listen, there's people who wear masks all the time, get vaccinated, and they succumb to it. It is rare, but it happens. But, the percentage is a lot higher when you don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Which he clearly wasn't doing any of that. And, oh my God, there's this video of Vic Berger at this editing of like Donald Trump saying to like Meatloaf, should I run for president? And Meatloaf's like, yeah, I think you should. And then like the next scene, it's like Meatloaf falling down on stage. It's like so fucked up. But it kind of sums it up. It's like, yeah. I mean, like Meatloaf probably died because Trump became president.
Yeah, in a weird sort of way. That's true.
I don't think Trump gets the credit of like for COVID as much as people like. I don't think people give him enough credit. Well, he deserves all the credit. Like COVID. I don't think these numbers would be this high ever if Trump wasn't president.
He did also like dismantle the infectious disease team, and he like
exactly. Like that needs to be. That is like it's right there. It's not like because I don't like him, that's why he did COVID. No, he like literally dismantled systems that prevent disease from spreading. It's like he was like always like a Russian agent or something,
Yeah.
Like some kind of weird, what do they call that?
Like a mole
candidate.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is a shame about Meatloaf, but.
Oh, I guess we should add Ukraine into this later, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, yeah.
Maybe we could end on that. All right. Well, on that note, let's go back to talking about the Book of Mandalorian.
Well, it was a great episode.
Yes, it looks really good.
Yeah, and you're right. It was basically a Mandalorian episode. It only had a few Boba Fett things shoehorned in it. It was a longer episode. Yeah. Well, like in the middle, they do mention something about the Pikes. And they talk about how the Pikes have been things have been bad since the Pikes took over the spice trade. And so like that's supposed to clue you in as to, oh, this is a big problem. It's affecting different parts of the planet.
Yep.
And then you're right, at the very end, Fennec Shan shows up and says, hey, we need your help. And Boba Fett and Mandalorian's like, it's on the house, and I just got to drop off a little shirt for my.
Yeah, what the fuck did she make? She must have made some little.
I think it was like a jacket, like a shirt.
It looked like a little like crocheted Baby Yoda head.
Yeah.
I will say though, like when he's like, I have to go see Grogu, and the armory lady's like as if she knows who Grogu is. Like,
well, she's the one.
She's like, wait, who are you talking about? That little green thing?
She's the one that told, because Mandalorian was originally like, I don't know what to do with this kid. And she was the one that said, he's yours now. He's your responsibility.
You need to get him to his people.
Yeah.
Until then, you guys are like a clan or something.
Yeah. And so like that, I guess that kind of made sense. The thing that didn't make sense to me, there's this weird scene, and it almost had like a Lord of the Rings kind of vibe to it. There's this weird scene where Mando comes back and he finds the armorer and some other Mandalorian. And
that's the guy from he's the big dude from like the third episode of Mandalorian for season 1 that like challenges into a fight also.
Yeah, but this time the guy's like super nice to Mandalorian, and
they made up in the end of that.
He fixes his leg and shit, and then he like helps tie this nice little package for Grogu. It's very thoughtful and kind and everything. And then he's like, oh, but I want your sword, so I'm going to challenge you to a duel to the death or something. And it was like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, what did you?
Yeah, he's fucking Sean Bean from Lord of the Rings.
Like, what are you? Yeah, Boromir or something. Like, what? Are you serious? Like, there's 3 of us left in existence, best we know.
Well, I guess his whole thing was, I don't know if he would have killed them. I mean, you don't have to die in the battle. But you just have to lose. But like, I guess.
But he said in the fight, like your family line will end here, which seems like pretty definitive. Like,
I mean,
it just seemed like
it seemed a little out of nowhere, and like, but I guess he saw it as like the saber is really important.
Yeah,
he doesn't really know how to wield it. I just fixed him because he cut his own fucking leg because he doesn't know how to use it. Well, and I'm going to challenge him.
It did seem to be like Lord of the Rings-ish, like the dark saber is like the one ring where it is
a very there's a little bit of a Lord of the Rings to it, but like I also like that like it got heavier because he doesn't know how to use it. I thought that was kind of cool. Like it doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. I don't care. They have ships that can break the speed of light and like nothing, then like show up 10 years later or something. Like we're told if you did that in real life or something, everything continues in one's time. I think in Star Trek they put in some bullshit to like what keeps the ship from not getting lost in like a time stream or something. Like there's some thing on the ship, so like they could go warp 10 and not like be 10 years later. Something.
And they always like relate it back to some like inventor from like the 23rd century or something.
Yeah. We're just not there yet, or the inventor from 1997.
Well, I like the episode a lot. I like where it's going. I guess there's only 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett left.
I guess so. I guess that's why there's 7 episodes, and this was just like the outlier episode.
Yeah.
I love the beginning when he goes in and fights those like
bulldog creatures,
the Beagle Boys from DuckTales. And I thought they were cool. I like though that they did a good job on the makeup because like they actually didn't look like they were just all wearing the same face. Like they actually went in and gave each one of them kind of individual faces and stuff. So I thought that was cool. Like a lot of detail. That's important. It doesn't look cheap. Man, he's like fucking brutal with that thing though. He cuts the guy in half. I was like, wow, this is harsh. It's like, I don't think even Boba Fett would do this. I'll tell you this. People are not, I keep hearing all these like dudes complaining. They do not like the Book of Boba Fett. I bet they like this episode a lot because Mandalorian is a badass. Yeah,
I read
they do not like the Book of Boba Fett.
What's the knock on that? That it's just
they think they don't like that Boba Fett was like showing any weakness. They think Boba Fett's supposed to be this. Like, dude, wait. The guy literally died like a bitch in Return of the Jedi. He did one cool thing, and then like Blind Han knocked into his backpack, making him fall into the Sarlacc pit as like a gag death. I mean,
And you're complaining about this.
Yeah, I get the frustration, like, in the sense that, like, I don't get the frustration that people have because I don't agree with it, but I do admit, like, the Boba Fett character is a little hard to reconcile. I think that's why they're spending so much time on his journey with the Sand People to kind of like explain why he's a good person now.
But they're not even like, the thing. What's crazy about it too is like, people won't admit to it. It's like, okay, well, you know, you had a full season of Mandalorian, and then you had like half a season of Mandalorian before Boba Fett actually showed up. But he shows up around. He actually shows up in the 5th episode of Mandalorian. I mean, which is kind of interesting because Mandalorian is the 5th episode of his show. And right, is it the 5th? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's the 5th.
That's the one where Grogu gets kidnapped in the end. And it's like, but honestly, that one episode which Robert Rodriguez directed, the one with the Slave One shows up and he wants his armor. That's like the first. I'm like watching. And I'm like, this is like the first time that I'm actually seeing Boba Fett as a character. Right. It's weird because we saw Jango Fett, right?
Yeah,
and I guess a lot of people complain, you know, like they don't like they think that Boba Fett's too old. Some people are like, why didn't they get that actor who played him as a kid? He would actually be the perfect age now, which honestly makes total sense. It's like 20 years later. But the thing is, can that guy act?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, like, he hasn't done much.
Plenty of child actors just get out of acting.
I mean, he wasn't that great in that movie to begin with. It's like he had like 3 lines and there wasn't that good. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I wouldn't have been upset unless he was like a horrible actor, but like it would make sense, you know. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's like perfect. He like aged right into the role. It's like 20 years ago and here he is, and it's 20 years later. I don't know. I guess people are complaining, think he's too old. I don't know what it is. I think like the thing about the Mandalorian is that he wears a helmet all the fucking time.
Yeah. Except
for like one episode. And those people bitch when he takes his helmet off. Like, too. There's a lot of these like chud guys hate Pedro Pascal because he's like, you know, a lib like, no, I'm kidding. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I believe
he's an outspoken progressive who supports his transgender sister. He has a transgender sister in real life. He supports like all those things. And he's outspoken. And I think he had problems with Gina Carano on the set. And
probably.
They're obsessed with her because she's like the chud queen.
She is queen.
How come she wasn't in this episode of Mandalorian? They should have made like an offhand joke. Like, where's Gina? Where's what was her name on the show? Cara Dune.
Cara Dune, yeah.
Oh well, she got space COVID.
Space COVID.
She slipped on a banana peel, on a space banana, fell down a shaft and exploded.
I will say one of the cool things about this is, and I guess this episode didn't do this, but it does kind of bring to the forefront the fact that like the stuff that's going on in the Mandalorian and stuff that's going on in the Book of Boba Fett is happening at the same time.
Yeah,
you know. So even if we don't get a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, I hope we do. But even if we don't, Boba Fett.
If there's a need for it, if it ends in a way that we don't,
well, but I don't know. They can appear on the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. That was their plan from the get-go. Like that guy who shows up in the end on the X-Wing, who was also in Mandalorian season 2, that X-Wing captain.
Yeah.
Like that's the spin-off that I guess never happened with Cara Dune, which is the Rangers of the Republic. That guy was going to be one of the cast.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I think the difference between Mandalorian and Boba Fett is, well, one, Mandalorian, especially, is like more badass. But the other thing too is he wears his helmet 99% of the time, and I think Boba Fett throughout the show doesn't wear his helmet that much. But he's also like his character is like, it's almost like, you know, Mandalorian is younger and is it's like what do you call it? Like Boba Fett's like a management position now, or like more like a no, it's true. Like he's
more like the Godfather, you know.
Well, that's what they're trying to set up in a way. He's like in a different place now, and it's like he wants to like set up this thing and change the rules of the game, even though the joke is that the game will just stay the same.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that what the Godfather was about? Kind of like try to change everything and you end up just doing it anyway.
Yeah. You can go to Havana, you can go to Vegas, you can do whatever you want. It's going to stay the same.
Yeah. So
Chinatown.
What?
It's Chinatown, Jake. Forget about it.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
So like, I think that's the theory. I think I think we as an audience, and I don't think these fans will admit it, is that like there's in a way there's more Mandalorian content than there is Boba Fett content actually.
Yeah.
I'm talking about live action.
Yeah, probably minute by minute. Yeah, for sure.
Boba Fett shows up in the original trilogy. He's just an action figure. He doesn't really do much. He walks around, he looks cool, shoots his pistol like 2 times, says a couple of cool lines. He's a mystery. We have no idea who he is. You cannot say that he was a fucking real fleshed character.
No.
Shows up in a prequel, he's a child.
Yeah.
Like he's in it for a bit. I mean, I guess we got to see Django, who was like a Boba Fett.
Sure.
Which is funny because it's almost like I feel like Mandalorian is more in the style of Django Fett is in a way, like the guns and stuff. But you had all those seasons, but like we're seeing Boba Fett now. I think there's some other things that people don't like about the show, like when we talk about the Baka Tank thing.
Yep.
They could have like arranged it differently. Like, does it always have to be the Baka Tank? Can it like could it just begin as a flashback and then he wakes up in the Baka Tank? We don't need to see him in the Baka Tank. Like,
well, and some of the flashbacks are a little unnecessary. I like them. They're interesting, but they're not like it's not moving the story forward. Or
like, why not just have a narrative flow where he's with the Sand People, and by the 3rd episode, that's when he's now like
that would have been
Mandalorian. Okay, so to focus on this episode, sorry, but like, so he hurts himself while he's doing this thing because he doesn't really know how to wield the black blade. What's it called?
The Darksaber.
Darksaber. And I love the whole nightclub scene. I just like the way it like sets up, like with him walking and he's in pain. And I love that he's literally taking the bus.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I mean, like he doesn't have a ship.
Nope.
So he literally has to commute to do a job.
Yeah, it's funny.
You have to put that scene when he has to put all his weapons in, and it takes like an hour to get every weapon.
Yeah.
And he just puts that dark saber. I love it though. It's like the dark saber, which is a thing that like all these Mandalorians throughout the galaxy would kill each other for.
It's like 1,000 years old too.
It into the case of like this fucking robot could like fuck up, and they could get all his shit could get lost, and it's just. I found that really funny, actually.
It could just be a thing that happened. Like it could just get lost, like not even be a nefarious plot. Just like, oh shit, we lost it.
It's like this is my blood lineage. This goes back. This is the most important thing ever. Hey, don't lose this.
Yeah. Did you get
that really funny?
Yeah.
That was almost like the scene when Luke gets his lightsaber in Last Jedi and just tosses it behind his head.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fucking object. Like to you, it was like the most important thing. To me, it's like I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
It's the totem of the past that I moved on from. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I love that. Like the kind of cavalierness of, because you just witnessed like a brutal like fight to wield the Darksaber, and then the next scene's like him
casually
into a security case so he could get on the space bus.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, I love the stuff with Amy Sedaris. Her character is like her boyfriend was a Jawa.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a little of her goes a whole long way in this show for me.
She was great. No, she's good. Like, I love the whole when she's speaking Jawa.
That's great. Yeah,
she said they were hairy. I like the robots. I mean, the ship was awesome. I think it's a little weird though, because I think we talked about that before I think we talked about it before the episode, before we started talking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Podcast we talk before the podcast. Sometimes it's not like we talk some outside the podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just forget you gotta hit the record button.
Right.
But about like how the Razor Crest was this like ship that was like also like an RV. Like
it was like they called it a gunship. It had like sleeping quarters and probably a kitchen.
He could keep prisoners in there. He
Yep.
had room to like put people in carbonite.
Yeah.
And now he's just got like a cool ship that's just like one person with like a little thing for a droid in the back.
Yeah. I mean, it's like real hard to see how he sleeps, or I mean, I don't. I always thought like when Luke went to Dagobah, that was really weird. Like, what is it? Just a day's trip, or like, how's he gonna sleep, or is?
Hey, don't think about it too much.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so
he got on the ship, and the next scene was in Dagobah.
Yeah. Well, that's
fly fast.
In this one. He does. Boba Fett gets a new. A Mandalorian gets a new ship, and it's like a Naboo fighter, right? A Naboo starfighter.
Yeah, it's from episode 1. It's like a jumped Naboo fighter. I almost feel like she because she's kind of a shitty like con artist in a way.
Yeah.
I almost feel like she didn't have anything, and she was like, "Fuck, oh yeah, I got this thing."
Right.
Like, she always had that in the back because it was like barely put together.
Yeah.
And she was like probably like, "Oh fuck, I was supposed to."
Let's just get you a ship.
I would just get your shit. Hey, here's this fucking golf cart. We can soup it up and make it look nice.
Yeah.
I always thought that ship was cool looking. I would say like some of the stuff from the prequels, like some of the vehicles were cool. I will say that's one of the big flaws of the sequel series is like they don't really have any cool new ships.
Yeah.
I mean, at least like with the prequel, like you got to see like an evolution of ships. Like by the time like the third movie, like the ships had like they were almost like a little bit like a TIE fighter window in the center and like wings. It was like this evolution of and showing like things changing. And like the first one was like royalty, like it's very sleek and like different regal looking. The ship, the Naboo fighter.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to like New Hope, they're like just straight up military vehicles. Like there's nothing like they're not X-Wings are not pretty looking. Like the A-Wing's not pretty looking.
No. Like, these utilitarian,
very utilitarian looking ships. So like, the other one is like sleek. It's like it serves it does the same. It serves a purpose. Yeah. And then like, but the sequel series, they just like repainted some of the X-Wings and TIE fighters. It was like a few new ships, nothing memorable, That I would say is probably one of the biggest flaws, at least with the prequels, even though those movies were
they had a lot of great aesthetic design. That is true.
There was I feel like there was a lot of planning put into that. Like you could see the evolution or the like regal peaceful times and then like leading into full-on war, cold empire, steel, everything's like sharp and edgy. Like you see the Naboo fighter, it's sleek and smooth.
Almost like retro future.
And then like the X-Wings and everything, TIE fighters are just like sharp edges.
Yeah.
They're not the vehicles that you want to be friends with you. And no Herbie the Love Bug.
Classic one. Well, this it is kind of a cool throwback. I like it when they work in old stuff to the newer episodes, and it was cool to see the Naboo fighter. And I don't know, it's a good episode, and it ends off with the Mandalorian saying he's got to go visit a friend, which is Grogu. He's going to drop off
that little guy. I wonder if like. See that? Okay, I like the scene too when he flies the ship to test it. I like that. Doesn't really work right away, but then it works and it's like really good.
Yeah.
And like if you notice he's going to the same area where like the pod race was.
Right. Yeah.
And, I watched some video pointing out like it's like Screen Crush does it, like 90 Easter eggs or something. One of them was I don't know if it was them. Maybe I saw something else. The wreckage of the pod race.
Oh, really?
Where Anakin's pod hits into a section.
Yeah.
You still see some wreckage.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It's like blink or miss. Like like, some nerd caught it. That nerd, I wish it was me. I love the scene when he gets into space and he's flying and he sees the Rodian, little Rodian kid.
That was cute.
The little Rodian kid that like when he's on the bus
waves to him or something.
And and the kid's like looking back, and the parents like make him turn around like he's on an airplane. I thought that was awesome. But then he happens to see that same kid while he's in it, and he does like a little fucking truck driver thing. It was a great episode.
Yeah,
I think like you're gonna see a lot of people say like, "Oh, I love this episode" because it wasn't Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
I like the. I'll be honest with you. I like the Book of Boba Fett so far. Like, is it perfect? No, there's some things like maybe like shift some things around a little bit, but man, it's good. Like, come on, you got fucking Huts, you got a big ass
Rancors, yeah,
you got sexy Twi'leks,
yep,
you got like fucking Hammerheads, Mayors.
It's a great show. I
robot voiced by that British dude who's really funny.
Yeah, I think the Mandalorian is so.
I saw a lot of people complain about that. We pointed out in the last episode about the Sarlacc pit.
Oh yeah,
the slave one, or sorry, fire spray fighting, because it's like I don't care though. Listen, I thought it looked cool though. That's the thing. Like the reason for why they did it is really stupid. It makes no sense. Like why would it be in there? But man, what a cool looking visual.
It was a great scene.
Like him trying to pull his ship out of the fucking Sarlacc pit. I thought that was cool.
I think the only knock people can have on the Book of Boba Fett is that the Mandalorian was just amazing, and this is not as good as the Mandalorian, in my opinion. But it's so great.
It's not.
I love it. You know,
I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's the director's fault. I don't know if they just didn't like if they rushed it. I don't know.
I think it's the character. You know.
Well, I mean, the problem is Boba Fett is like a hard. It's like Mandalorian's a blank slate. Yeah. I mean, the joke too is like he's like. You could say, "Oh, great, it's a freaking Boba Fett clone," right? People are like, "Is the Mandalorian actually Boba Fett?" No, it was a dude named DiGiorno Pizza,
right?
And he ended up being a great character. Obviously, the Grogu element is a
big help,
huge, big, like just took it on a whole nother level. But I don't know. I think maybe the look of it's better. I mean, this episode maybe. Bryce Dallas Howard's a better director than Rodriguez. I don't know. I mean, like
certainly a different director, you know.
Well, I mean, just even like the way it went, like when he hurts himself, and you just see him slowly walking through this nightlife city and the spaceport or whatever the hell this weird like planet strip.
Yeah,
and like it looked so cool, and it looked so much more cinematic.
It did.
I mean, it reminded me, there's a cool scene in Rogue One. One of the coolest scenes in Rogue One is like early in the movie where they go to this like weird planet. It's not a planet, but it was like a port that was like in between two asteroids or something. It was like a full city. It's like a cool scene, and it was in Rogue One. It's like early in the movie. It kind of reminded me of that.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, I like the show though. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I don't know.
Me too.
I feel like I'm a little more forgiving of it, I think. I just think Boba Fett is it's a tough thing to write. I mean, you're a character that's 40 years old, but really was not a character. I mean, like, yeah, he's in tons of books, tons of stories, but it's like they had to write it in a way where it was like, yeah, we just make him a badass. We don't know what he looks like under the helmet. We're not allowed to. Lucas won't let us tell him.
Right.
We can't say he grew up on a farm. We can't say he grew up here. We're not allowed to do any of that. So he's still this like mysterious gun for hire kind of character. And now he's an actual character. And I don't know. I don't know. Like you made him soft.
I don't know. He's kind of an interesting character. He's Boba Fett at the age Boba Fett is. I like him just fine. It's comparing it to the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian's got like a lot more action going on, and the Mandalorian's exploring like these really cool ideas that happened and we always wanted to hear about. And the Book of Boba Fett is telling a story I don't think that right now feels integral to the Star Wars universe. You know, it doesn't feel big picture. It's so fun.
It is. That's the crazy part. Like, I don't know if they're just not doing a good job expressing it. I mean, it's a big, like, he's trying to basically be the crime lord of the galaxy.
Yeah.
That starts off in Tatooine. And obviously the thing with the Pikes, and maybe it just doesn't feel on a grand scale, but maybe because we now see Mandalorian taking place in a different part, not just because it's like we've just been on Tatooine the entire time.
Right.
That's the other thing too. We're kind of like you got the Jabba's palace, you got the nightclub scenes, you got like the village, the city, but like they haven't really, and the desert, but they haven't really gone like off planet.
Right.
They haven't gone. So in this episode, like you said, they make references to stuff going on in the galaxy with the Pike. So in a way, this episode helps showing that hey, the events are bigger. They have a galaxy-wide effect. So I don't know. I liked it. This episode definitely stands out. I could just see people complaining about it being a weird, like a narrative flow. It's a little odd.
Yeah, and that's a fair criticism.
Like I would think, like okay, so like if I had a comic book series, I wouldn't make Book of Boba Fett a 7-issue series and have Mandalorian. I would make it a 6-issue series,
right?
And have a spin-off issue that came out. Maybe you even skip a month. But it would not say Book of Boba Fett, or if it did, it would say Book of Boba Fett special on top small.
Yeah.
And then it would say Mandalorian big.
Featuring the Mandalorian.
Yeah. So I just think people are going to be a little confused. I do love the music, though. I love how they blend theme songs together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's clever. So
and then his it's like a little whistle. You ever see the guy make the music?
Yeah. He's a younger
like some
kid.
Scandinavian dude, and he just sits there and he's just having the time of his life. He's got like
he's real interesting.
He's using all different kinds of wind instruments and all kinds of he's just having a blast, man.
Yeah. Good for him.
You ever see that TikTok of that guy who I think I might have showed it to you. I don't know. It was this dude who like the joke, he's like, he plays like the agent or whatever, and he's telling like the guy, it's making the theme songs to video games and like how.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy. Yeah, he's good.
And he does like the Marvel versus Capcom screen. He's like, hey, I need a little something. It's not too crazy, but it's like a game like people fighting. And then next thing he's like, I want to take you for a ride. And like he's playing all different roles, like. And I just picture the dude who makes the Mandalorian Boba Fett music.
Yeah.
He's like that guy. He's just
yeah, no, that would make sense.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
All right. Well, hey, do you think next week we'll see Grogu, or do you think they're saving that?
I don't think we'll see Grogu. I don't think we'll see Grogu.
I think it would, at that point, it would screw up the flow.
Yeah.
You could easily just have him show up like halfway in the next episode. And he'd just be like, oh, sorry, I had to stop and see a friend. And you could look at the screen and go, in season 3.
I could see like a very, like a 5-second snippet where you see like the Mandalorian approaching Grogu, but I don't think you're going to see much Grogu on.
I don't think we're going to see Grogu on the series.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I think that next week's episode will have a harsh back to Boba Fett narrative. Yep. And we'll see him amassing an army, and Mandalorian will show up like not right away.
In clutch at the end.
Yeah. I like the whole thing too. He's like, I'll do this job for free.
Yeah, that's good. That's a class act.
Boba Fett are friends. Boba Fett is a sweet old man who
he's like helping him out with his lawn or something like.
I don't mind helping that man out with chore.
Boba can't mow the lawn. He threw his back out.
His vodka tank's not working. All right. Well, I cannot wait for the next episode.
Yeah, me too.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm a Star Wars fan. I like almost everything they do. I have no opinions. No, that's not true. If you listen to this podcast, I've been very critical on things. Yes. Before we move on, I still think the best thing in years that have happened for Star Wars are these series.
Oh yeah, me too. Easily.
I think, and especially after watching this episode with how grand it looked.
Yeah.
Like when they showed the flashbacks to Mandalore and the explosions and like
like a little Terminator.
The little Terminator 2 vibe going.
Yep,
Terminator vibe.
Definitely.
I'm like, dude, do they really need to make these into movies anymore? I'm like,
no, man. I would watch a series just on that Day of 1,000 Tears or whatever. I
feel like this just frees them up to do so much stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't involve people going like, this doesn't work as an hour-and-a-half movie. I think this is just it really opens them up to have a lot of freedom with like
for sure
stories go into richer detail, like not have to worry. So like, hey, if they sell toys in the process, it's fine, but they don't have to worry about reaching a date.
Yep.
That we have a time window to sell these toys before the movie's out of the theater. If we don't do this, then yeah. All right. Speaking of dates.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know if this is a great segue.
Speaking of going on dates, my kid's free now because their school shut down.
Yeah, I'm not going on any dates now. The schools in our area shut down.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. They say it's only gonna be a couple of days, but I don't know. I have a strange feeling it ain't gonna be as short as we think it's gonna be.
Well, I haven't heard or read this, but I specific to where we live. But I do know that a lot of national experts are saying that they predict the coronavirus has peaked within the last week and is now on the downside. And I think I shared with you a national map. And if you look at the map, like a lot of places are pretty fucking scary with COVID, but they're trending down currently.
Well,
so
all the meatloaves are leaving.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. I mean,
you still have to have mitigations, and you have to have things that like to help slow it down for that to really work.
Yeah.
Like, because all what's going to happen is another fucking variant will come out because people weren't getting vaccinated, and this thing just mutates and grows. It finds new ways, and all of a sudden, I think there's another one that they said exists.
I did hear something like that. Yeah, there's actually like one or two, that are minor variants.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. It's just like where we live, they basically end with, in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, he put in an anti-mask mandate in public schools.
Yep.
And he did it to defy every epidemiologist, scientist, whatever, just to be an asshole, all to be a political douchebag. And we had a school board election last March or April. And
that sounds right. Yep.
And everyone, they still had masks in the school that year, and all the parents in the school district got real mad. They didn't like that because Glenn Beck and Steven Crowder, Joe Rogan, all them told that masks were for cucks, and of course they listened, and they claimed that it was freedom, even though the kids really didn't have a problem wearing them. The parents and the ones that bigger babies, they put in basically a bunch of MAGA people into the school board.
Yeah.
And those people on the school board specifically ran en masse, pretty much, and other things like CRT. And
there's some general
attacking trans kids.
Well,
a bunch of things like that. But the mask thing was probably the main thing, and they had the mask until the end of the year. But then, starting this school year, there were no masks, and it was as if like COVID didn't even exist in some of these schools. Like the people were like teaching kids like it was like everything was free. I know like there's still some mitigations, but nothing to like really prevent COVID and then like any real way.
Right.
And then Omicron came, which unlike the other is the most what is it? It's just like really contagious, right? Like it's
that's my understanding is it's very transmissible.
Right.
And it is weird. It's just it spreads like wildfire. That's the thing is that it seems to be less serious for most people, but it's still bad and it spreads quickly. So
I mean, like, and then you have people who don't take it seriously and they don't wear masks, they're probably not vaccinating their kids or themselves.
Yeah.
So they're perfect hosts for this thing that spreads very easily.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of parents that are pissed that their kids are home right now, and they're probably not going to put two and two together to realize, hey, how'd this happen? It's probably that commie Joe Biden's fault.
Well, I know, I'll tell you nationally, and I've read a lot of articles about this, there are parents that are real pissed about this mask thing, and they're getting like whipped up into a frenzy by right-wing media and stuff like that. But there's anywhere you go, any school district, you're going to have, even if the school district like ours is anti-mask doesn't have a real strong opinion about vaccines and shit like that, you're still going to get these psycho parents kind of petitioning the school board weekly to make sure they don't get a mask mandate. This is a pretty widespread, pretty well organized movement of anti-science zealots.
Do you remember that psychopath last week that went to school, what was it, Virginia or something?
It was in Virginia.
Yep. The woman said that she was going to come in. It was Friday or something. She said that she was going to come in on Monday and shoot them all up.
Yeah, she said, "I'm going to bring my loaded guns. I'll see you Monday."
What happened to her? She got arrested, but nothing happened.
No, she got arrested and bonded out on $5,000 cash bond, released on her own recognizance.
They didn't take her weapons away, or
not yet. They may still do that, but no.
That's crazy.
It's stunning. The right wing, and we've talked about this before, has done a great job of targeting school board races. They have a lot of school boards in their pocket.
Just riling people up over the dumbest shit.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's hard to get excited for a local school board election most of the time, unless you know the candidate or, you're a teacher and know the platforms. It's hard to get people to turn out to vote for school boards.
Yeah.
And the right wing does it really well, and they vote them in, and they're doing that. It's hard, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying that, we have this superintendent, an interim superintendent.
Yeah.
And you can tell that this guy is aware that, because all the letters that I've seen this year come in, his 3 letters that he sent in the past couple of weeks were the only ones that ever mentioned encouraging people to wear masks. Yeah. He flat out, it's funny. I mean, I'm going to just read it because it's really funny. Kind of just sums everything up. There's this one part in the email. It says, "Why aren't we requiring masks?" This is in the end of the email.
Yeah.
Because as the district has shared since the beginning of school year, I'm not going to say it, blank, will not violate the governor's executive order, which prohibits mask mandates, which is Abbott put in a thing.
Right.
Only at public schools. But all those Republican leaders that in Texas send their kids to private schools. And the joke is that majority of those private schools demand they have a mask mandate. So I find that interesting. We understand many disagree with this stance and believe this is somehow a political position taken by the district. Of course it is. Those guys were literally put in for political reasons. It was probably the most, I don't know. I'm sure it's always political, but I would say this one was definitely the most polarizing, I'm sure, in years for the school board.
Yeah,
especially
I would imagine.
With, the sharp stance of mask going after critical race theory, going after trans kids, just really targeting. I think with the reaction of Biden winning and Trump losing, I think there was we're gonna go in hard here. He goes, "That is not the case. I, along with many staff members, are wearing masks every day." Yeah, that's whoever's in front of him, but that's not the case. But it is against the law for us to mandate masks, which is insane. We continue to encourage students and staff to wear masks, but we will not mandate it. In close, okay, whatever.
Well,
it's just funny
especially in a state like Texas, because, and we've said this before, I could 100% see some small little rural town in West Texas saying, "You know what, we're not going to do a mask mandate. We got 24 kids in a 2-room schoolhouse. We're not going to do it. These kids will work in the fields all day or whatever." That'd be fine. Yeah,
what is this, 1920? Working in the cornfield.
I'm just saying,
the drought. Hopefully, the drought clears up.
I could see some of these small towns that rely on agriculture or oil production or whatever say, we're not going to do it.
All those small towns you see in Michael Bay movies.
They're fairly isolated. They're not on an interstate. They're just going to keep it short, whatever. But a place like Houston would have to have mask mandates. It's just like
or even where we are. We're
or Dallas or Austin or San Antonio,
DFW area, all that. Yeah,
I'm just saying, for years the conservatives have been local decision making and everything, and Texas is so big and varied that this would make perfect sense. Of course, Houston is going to have different needs than Ruston.
Greg Abbott knows that, and that's why it's fucked up, because he knows that. He knows full well. But these are also the same fucks that put one voting box in like the shitty little
Right.
town, and then one
Yeah.
voting box in Houston, and being
Houston.
like, look, I gave you all, we're all even. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's like, so I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just, it's not ironic. I mean, it's ironic, but not really. Like, it's like, ooh, who could have saw this coming? You know,
Right.
it's like, I mean, I will say I'm shocked that it wasn't worse than it was. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the beginning of the year, but this with the Omicron, I mean, like our school, every day there was another kid out. And then the teacher, I mean, the main reason why it's shutting down is because the teachers,
Yeah.
20% of the staff are sick. And what did you say to me before? Like, you could have like 100 kids out and wouldn't matter as long as the teachers are there.
Yeah. Honestly, like if a bunch of kids call out sick, it's not the end of the world. The school will continue to go on. You know, it's just when they physically can't staff the classrooms, that's when they got to shut down.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said before, when you and I were talking, I don't know if these, and I don't blame them either way, but like, I don't know if all these teachers have COVID, or if school was the way it was, and I had parents bitching all the time about masks and this, that, and whatever, and I had situations where the kids are a little wacky because they can't go to recess and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you got to cover your colleagues' classes on your break because they don't have enough subs. Eventually, those people are going to just start calling out sick.
Yeah.
You know, they'll just say like, do you have?
They also
COVID?
probably won't feel safe coming in too.
Some of them won't. Yeah, some of them will.
I mean, some of them will just
won't.
be like, fuck it, I don't care. But I think some could just be out of fear of like, I'm not catching COVID. I'll just tell them I have it.
Well, I'll tell you, normally, like when I used to teach, normally you'd work like 5 or 6 periods.
Don't do that. Be honest.
And you have a period off. And during that period off, that's when you can get your grading done, or, you know, make phone calls or do whatever you needed to do. So all of a sudden, when you're now donating that class, that planning period, well, that's shit you got to do at home. Now you don't get off at 3 or 4 p.m. Now you get off at like 5. Plus you had a bunch of papers to grade anyway, you know, and you had like all this shit. And the next thing you know, you're working till 10 at night. You know, you're not getting paid anymore. It's just, fuck, it's crazy. So, oh well.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Just like me and my wife work from home. So it's not like the end of the world for us, but I'm sure there's a lot of people where this has greatly affected them. I would hope they would realize, though. I mean, you know, they could be doing everything right. They could be they just have to send their kids to school, and they're just like, listen, I wear a mask in school, whatever. They could be doing everything right. But then there's all these other parents that like deny the existence of it, play the MAGA game, elected people that would agree with them.
Yeah.
They want to deny science, and science is like, nah, reality. They want to ignore reality until reality hits them. And then they'll, like I said, they'll just say it's that commie Joe Biden's fault.
Yeah.
So they'll never take responsibility for anything.
No.
Speaking though of being responsible.
Yeah.
Neil Young was saying to Spotify recently, I want you guys to be a little more responsible. Get rid of Joe Rogan, basically.
Yeah.
He pretty much said,
he said you can have Joe Rogan or you can have Neil Young, but you can't have both.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a little more complicated for them to get rid of Joe Rogan. They paid him $100 million. They have a contract with him. I'm sure there would be a lot of big hoobaloo if something like that happened. The Neil Young thing, I think what's great about it, though, is that I hope it's just the beginning of a trend. I feel like we at YSGOAT started this trend late last year. I told Joseph, I said, I want every episode of YSGOAT taken down on Spotify. And he went, but what about all my Baja Blast money?
Right.
You know, as he's fiddling a gold toothpick.
Yeah.
And we removed every episode from Spotify because I just don't want to be on the same platform that, I mean, listen, I'm sure like we're on Podbean, you know, every time I go on Podbean, they're constantly pushing like fucking Ben Shapiro and all that shit.
Yeah.
I get it. You know what? The difference is that Spotify like literally paid Joe Rogan to make him an exclusive to them. and he got like 20 times worse since he's been on Spotify.
Yeah. Well, now he doesn't have any restraints,
Well, he
Spotify's
didn't really have any
bankrolling him.
restraints before. He really didn't. He was on everything. It's not like he was beholden to any.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
If anything, now I would think he's like, you'd think now he would have to watch himself. And I'm always like, okay, so if that's the case, then clearly you guys stand by what he says, that you are anti-trans and you just like to spread COVID and misinformation. I mean, clearly he's like your mouthpiece. I mean, like this isn't just like a show that you're airing. You specifically paid this guy to be exclusive. He's creating content for you that literally has like your name on it and you're pushing it. Yeah. So, it's like Fox being like, well, I can't control Tucker Carlson. Like, of course, Like, of course they can. They specifically put him there.
You're his boss.
Yeah, and he works in tandem with the network. So, yeah, I mean, Spotify sucks. I mean, because of that. Until they so Neil Young, I hope, started like I said, I'd like to think we started the trend of YSGOAT. Right. But, I get it. Neil Young has a couple of hits. And I think we need to see more of that.
That'd be great.
Artists like his size, even big, smaller, whatever, coming out in droves and just telling Spotify, we don't want our content on there. I mean, if you ask a lot of bands, I mean, yeah, they probably get like exposure, but the joke is they make like nothing from Spotify.
Right.
I think it was like I forgot what singer it was. It was like it was like some famous song. I got like it was downloaded like 1 billion times or something last year.
The person made like $40 or something.
Not even.
Yeah.
It was like $12, something crazy like that. He was like, so I'm sure. It's like, like Spotify pays these people like shit so that they can collect all the money and then they could pay chuds like Rogan to spread COVID misinformation. And I'm sorry, but like it's specifically more like what we're talking about now. Like it's getting to the point. It's like, dude, this has been around for fucking 2 years, over 2 years now.
Yeah.
And you have these fucking clowns that are just almost everything that they come up with has been misproven like they've been misproven so many times.
Yeah.
And it's like, we know it works to prevent and slow down COVID. And these guys do everything they can to stop it. So it's ridiculous. So I think like Rogan looks even more and more ridiculous every day. These people look ridiculous every day. I think we just need to have more people like Young come out. And, all it takes is a couple to the point where some artists don't, ones that were skittish and don't want to like rock the boat, but fuck, once like 20, 30, 40 of them do it.
Yeah, then it becomes a thing.
What?
Then it becomes a thing.
Then they could all have their little Twitter moment. Everyone could give them a little thumbs up and hey, that's great, whatever. And then like Spotify's like, I mean, at some point, Spotify will look at it and go, okay, I mean, is he worth that? Or they'd be like, yeah, after May, we're not renewing with him. You know what I mean? Like they could put out some, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad to see this happening. I think I know I agree with you. It'd be nice to see more of this happen. I don't know. Every time I think I got a beat on like what the anti-mask, antivirus, anti-vaccine people think, something comes along and I realize I don't understand their motivations for the most part.
I think a lot of it is just they think it's a form of defiance.
Yeah.
And it's political. It's like the lunatics showing up at the school board threatening these people's lives. And you're like, do you realize what you're saying and doing? Like, your kid wearing a mask is on the level of you murdering a bunch of people with a gun and you ending up in prison or getting the death penalty.
All of these people, when you show them a video of what they've done, they genuinely look shocked. Like, that's not me. Like it is you. You clearly have something wrong with you. Yeah.
Like you have mental illness or you're broken. Again, it's that documentary, The Brainwashing of My Dad. Highly recommend this documentary if you haven't seen it yet. It's about a guy. It's basically about this woman who does basically a documentary on her dad. I'm pretty sure. And her dad was this kind of middle of the road guy. Worked his whole life. He was kind of voted Democrat.
Okay.
early on, and then just got sucked into the Fox News void in like the 90s. It just became a full on, like, just saying things, and like she said, it just made him into such a bad person.
Yeah.
And then they finally got it away from him. I forgot, there's like it's kind of funny how she was able to get rid of Fox from him, so he couldn't get it. I don't know if like because he was older anyway. I think she was able to like cut off his cable or something, or like lie to him, but whatever. But like after a year of not having Fox, he started becoming a better person.
Oh, I'll bet.
And, yeah. Like the joke is, I think in the end too, like he voted, like he passed away years ago, but like he voted for Obama. It's like really funny. It's like he had oxygen to his brain, and he's like, holy shit, maybe I shouldn't eat paint chips every day, you know? I just think like it's amazing how much this media and stuff really rots people's brains.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see Neil Young come out and make a solid point.
Yeah, me too.
We
I
know
like
he
Neil
was
Young.
What?
I like Neil Young.
And like I said, I'm sure he probably, listen, he's clearly a businessman too. I think he sold his music recently.
Oh, okay.
But like, probably looked at it like, I don't really make any money from Spotify. like $100 a month. Like, you know what? I don't really care.
They're a behemoth right now. I mean, they're kind of unstoppable in that segment.
What's that?
Spotify, like with their podcast stuff. I mean, they're just.
Yeah, but I think all it takes is a bunch of bigger names to come out, maybe more current, maybe whatever, and just be like, you know what? Yeah, we don't want to be on the same. We don't want to be on the same thing. We don't want to help you guys push bullshit anymore. It's like, what's his face? It's kind of funny. Seth MacFarlane, like he wants so bad. Like he goes, and it's like people will say whatever, but like he'll tweet about Fox, even though his like Family Guy and all that
is on Fox, right?
He'll talk shit about them, and he hates them. He's like, I wish like like he feels dirty. Like, I mean, the guy's super rich and everything from it, but like, it's just interesting watching that. And like, clearly he has enough fuck you money to be like, you know what? Fuck you guys. All right. So what's the next thing? Like a big thing just happened.
Yeah, we were going to talk about the Supreme Court. Justice Breyer announced that he's going to retire. And the timing of his retirement is kind of designed to allow Joe Biden to put the next nominee on the court. You know, assuming that Democrats vote together in the Senate, Biden can pick who he wants. And that's great news, you know, I mean, because the alternative would be that they have to wait. And even if Biden is still president or whatever, maybe the Republicans have the Senate, and the Republicans have already shown that they will never allow a Democrat to put anyone on the bench.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think they're already trying to pull that shit now with the it being a midterm year. They're trying to pull they're already trying to pull that card. Like, we will not have during elections. Like, dude, you just put Amy Coney Barrett literally a week before the election in 2020.
A week before the election, after 65 million people had already voted, and they did it all within 30 days. If I were Joe Biden, I'd have I know he has his list. Don't tell me that they didn't draw up a list. He should submit whoever he's going to nominate tomorrow morning and say, you know, it's Thursday. Let's meet back here tomorrow at 8 and take a vote. There you go. That's it. That's the answer. I hear that the woman he's looking at most has already been through the Senate, so they know her. They already took a vote on her like last year.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, all these people didn't have an issue with her then, will all of a sudden have an issue with her.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I wouldn't trust Cinema or Manchin at this point either.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that just since they're a nominally Democrat, I think that they would be fine, you know.
I mean, the joke is, at the end of the day, it's like it's still an imbalanced rating in court. All it will allow is that, like, one, you'll probably put a woman of color up.
Yeah.
And it will be a more progressive person who will be who's much younger.
Yeah.
Will be on the bench. And then what we'll realize is like, hey, you know what? This 6-3 court ain't gonna last that long, because I mean, Clarence Thomas can fucking drop dead any day.
Yep.
Anton, was it Anton Scalia? What's his name?
You think he died? Anton Scalia.
No, not him. The other guy.
Alito, Samuel Alito.
Alito is no youngster either.
Yep.
Even though these fuckers could live to like 1,000. I mean, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg lasted what, like 80, 90, what?
Yeah.
Sure. But Brian is not retiring tomorrow. He is retiring, but it's like it could be months now. But did you see Feinstein say something like, I don't see a rush, it could be 6 months from now? It's like, did someone just get rid of this fucking lady?
Yeah.
Feinstein
all it takes is like
sucks.
one Democrat senator in a red state to get in a car accident, or there's a lot could happen between now and then. I'd lock up that nominee quick.
Yeah, I'll just get him on, like get it out of the way. And okay, it's still going to be a 6-3 court, but you know what? We'll change the makeup a bit of it.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is just show, hey, you know what? Or we talked about this, even though I don't think Biden's going to do it, but it would be great if he did. Hey, you know what? I actually have 5 great judges. I can't pick one.
I'm going to put
them all on there. What?
Let's put them all on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my God. If he did that, which he won't, but if he did, that would be.
Oh,
if you thought right wingers got mad at Mr. Potato Head's big, fat, veiny potato cock getting taken away. Oh, my fucking God. These guys who change the rules whenever they fucking feel like will all of a sudden cry about laws. And they'll go on like hour-long screeds about like, this is not what you're supposed to do. Or when we're in power, we're going to put 10 in. And we're,
They lost their shit for 12 hours straight when they had the green M&M wear tennis shoes instead of
oh my God.
heels.
Did you see that green M&M, the naked one?
Yeah.
The CGI, the person with the boobs, I'm like, it just looks so weird. And then the best is like the thing had a vagina and the bottom. Like, oh my God.
I'll tell you though, it's a slippery slope. Next thing you know, you're gonna have a perfectly smooth Snickers instead of that dick vein on it.
Yeah,
and then
someone brought that up. Yeah, I saw that. The dick vein up. Yeah, what? What the fuck's up with Snickers bars? It's like it's a little nutty. Got nugget in the center. We should make it look like a dick. Like who designed the Snickers bar? Like someone just was stroking it up and down, making that chocolate bar, and they were like,
I love a good Snickers, but it's already kind of a fuck show. It's like all this random shit in the middle.
Oh, Snickers is great.
They're so good.
It's either going to be a Snickers bar or Reese's peanut butter cup.
Mm-hmm.
I even like a good Mr. Good bar, which is just Hershey with peanuts.
Hershey with peanuts, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's simple as fuck. But yeah, what's up with the vein? I don't understand how they designed the Snickers bar.
I think it's just they drizzle the chocolate on the top of the bar. That's the vein.
Then they make sure to get as much of veiny drizzle on it. Wait, what did you say?
About what? The Snickers?
No, I'm saying that the person telling them how to design the Snickers bar, they're like, make sure you drizzle it to get that veiny goodness. And the person's like, okay, wait, what did you say? Like the original Snickers bar had a big bell end. Right. And they're like, packaging was the reason why they just had to make it.
It was specially designed so that when you picked it up, the caramel would drizzle out the front. Yes, it was. Anyway, so I am excited that Biden's going to have the opportunity to put another justice on the Supreme Court. I hope she is young, woman of color, and has got like a lot to say.
I mean, as great as that is, the woman of color, whatever, I would hope they're at least progressive.
Oh yeah, I mean, and frankly, I don't. It doesn't like.
I mean, Clarence Thomas was put on the court.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he was like a slap in the face because, like, was it Thurgood Marshall?
Thurgood Marshall, yeah.
He was like he was like everything that Thurgood Marshall wasn't, but like you know, I mean, like how do I say it? He was the opposite in the worst way. He was like a total slap in the face. So like, oh look, Bush is like, oh look, I put a black guy out there.
Well,
and it's like,
I think that Biden said before he was elected that he pledged to put a black woman on the Supreme Court if he had a chance. He's got to keep that pledge. There's plenty of great qualified black jurists, women jurists. Do it. Pull it. overthink this one. You got a list?
No, I don't think that's gonna be an issue or anything. I
Yeah.
just, like I said, I just think it's really hysterical. The right wing's gonna freak the fuck out. They're gonna cry about it, bitch about it, and it's like, dude, you guys still won. It's a 6-3 court.
Yeah,
It could be like this for another. It could be a 6-3 court for another decade.
You know, here's the weird thing. Like, Clarence Thomas is 100% far right wing asshole, and he's never right about anything. And Alito is kind of the same way too. Like,
yeah,
you often see a lot of like weird 7-2 rulings where you're like, who the fuck, two? And it's Alito and Thomas, you know. Coney Barrett, I think, is probably going to be like that. I think she's kind of like a horrible chud. Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch is going to be a total garbage human. The Justice Thomas, what is that? Is that his name? Who's the lead guy? Stevens or Thomas?
Roberts,
yeah.
Yeah.
Justice Roberts. He can swing liberal, you know,
a little bit, but it's mostly a corporatist.
No, I don't like him. I'm just saying, like, if that were the conservative on the Supreme Court, I'd be fine with it. And Kavanaugh has done some weird things where he's been pretty liberal. Kavanaugh's a weird one. He came out of like
the Better Call Saul of Supreme Court.
Well, Kavanaugh, have you been reading about him and like some of the right wing's anger at him?
What? No.
A lot of like
that he didn't like stone virgins to death.
Well, a lot of like right wingers are angry with him because he upheld the vaccination mandate on healthcare workers and stuff like that.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Well, he came from a super liberal church in Colorado, and his family was like a super liberal family or whatever.
Really?
There's some weirdness there.
He has a huge history of being a right winger. Like I said, his wife worked with the George W. Bush administration, and
yep, he is a hardcore right winger. I'm not saying he's really a liberal or progressive or anything like that, but every once in a while you see those conservative justices that get put on the bench, and then gradually over time they become a little more liberal. It wouldn't stun me if Kavanaugh was in that mold.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that too much.
Oh, I'm not going to count on it. I don't think it'll happen.
I know what you mean. There are weird, like supposedly Breyer, who's retiring, was not put on the court as a progressive judge at all.
No, he's like a Nixon judge or something.
Really? That long ago? No,
I think
Breyer's
so.
I think Breyer's George Herbert Walker Bush.
Yeah.
Breyer was when was Breyer?
1994. You're right.
Yeah, dude, Nixon. Dude, Breyer would be like 1,000 years old. Like Nixon's like,
well,
50 years ago.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't know, man. Put on the court at like 20.
They were like, I remember that episode we did about
this child on the court
6 months ago, where we were looking at all these judges, and a lot of them had been put on the bench by Nixon.
Oh yeah, that was really funny. There was a judge who said was Eisenhower.
I forget these specifics, but there were some where I was like
he was like 100. He was like almost 100 years old.
Yeah, I had to like Google it several times. I'm like, I need another source.
He was put on before like interstate highways existed.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, anyway, we'll see where that Supreme Court goes. I do think, and this is kind of like tying into, there's two other topics that we were going to talk about that are related to this. I do think Joe Biden's going to see a bump in the polls because of this. I think people will like to see him do something.
I think he got a bump in the polls for calling Steve Ducey a dumb son of a bitch. I guess people said he apologized afterwards, but I don't think he apologized directly to Ducey. He didn't want to say, he felt bad for saying it.
I heard the apology was basically him calling up Ducey and saying, "Hey, nothing personal, pal," and then that was it. Like,
really?
Yeah,
that's funny. I was like, don't apologize to him. He's a piece of shit. He's a son of an asshole. He's just an asshole. He's a Fox News legacy hire. His dad's on the fucking Fox and Friends.
I do though think that's a alpha move. Is like if Biden just called the guy up and said like, "Look, it's nothing personal. You're just you're just a dumb son of a bitch. Like, I don't want
well,
you.
That
like,
was the best with Ducey, like said something about inflation or whatever. And he said, I don't know, you know what, more of that. I mean, that's the kind of shit that will get him. He's good at sometimes doing that, actually, believe it or not. I don't think people give him enough credit when it comes to things like that. He's good at just because he, the thing is, like, Trump, if you're just always insulting people, you're always doing dumb shit, you're always talking like an asshole all the time, no one's going to care when you do it every time. But when he comes out of the gate once in a while and does it, it's a stinger.
It is.
You don't really expect it.
Right.
And Steve Ducey is
he's a piece of shit.
Just a piece of shit. I mean, like,
Well, I think I saw an interesting poll. My brother sent it to me. And it basically said that, like, Biden, if you say, hey, who do you want to win in 2024, Biden or a Republican, most people will say a Republican.
Where was the poll taken? That's very important.
It was a reliable one. It wasn't like
Rasmussen or something.
No. And it wasn't a blowout. It was like, a narrow win for the Republican.
Well, why would they want the Republican? That's what doesn't make any sense.
Because it's like the other. But then when they put Biden up against each
actual
individual,
Republican?
Biden versus Ted Cruz, Biden wins. Biden versus Marco Rubio, Biden wins. Biden versus Trump, Biden wins. Biden
what
versus
about DeSantis?
Yep, he was on the list too. It was, let me see if I got the list here. All right, so it was Biden would beat Trump, Pence, DeSantis, and Cruz. And he would beat them pretty bad. He'd beat Trump by 11, Trump by just like 1%. Cruz by like 6%. Pence by like 10%, and DeSantis by like 5 or 6%. So I mean, it is weird. I think Biden's polling is probably better than what we think.
They said that about when Trump was running. I mean, when Trump was president and he was running against a generic Democrat, Trump always lost. It didn't matter who the person nominee was at the time. It was just like Trump will lose against so there is the other. I know what you mean by that aspect. It's like they're not happy about him that day or whatever. They'd just be like, of course I'm going to vote for the.
I'll vote for the other one.
All right. And then Ted Cruz shows up and it's like,
and you're like,
I'm gonna stay home that day, or I'm gonna have to vote for Biden.
Well, the other thing that I think this will help with is, like, it does put into sharp relief things like abortion rights, and we're going to talk about
they said that, and that could be another reason why he's retiring. It kind of changes the conversation, it shifts the conversation. Because they were saying, like, within 6 months, abortion would be gone. Like, they already got plans and everything like that. Now, it could, in theory, still happen. They could still find a way to get rid of it. But having, the joke is there'll be the right wing's fault if they drag this out, too, because as this is going on, people will be focusing on this and not who the fuck knows.
Well, most people want to keep abortion legal. Like, I think it's like 70% want to.
Yeah.
And I think within that 70%, there's people that want like limited abortion. And then there's people that want like unlimited abortion. I mean, they've got like a good mix of opinions within that 70%.
My issue with the so-called pro-life people is when it came to abortion, it's like, okay, you don't like abortion. That's fine. No one said you have to get one. Are you for public sex education in schools? Are you for handing out prophylactics? Are you for if they do have the kid, are you gonna
free
find
prenatal
a place
care
for the kid?
Yeah.
Are you gonna open up, make SNAP benefits better and WIC and all those things better? Are you gonna do all those things? And if your instance is no, and no, and then I just don't think you're a serious person. I think you're a shithead, actually, because you can't have a society where like people are having completely out of control births, completely unplanned births because the law prevents them from making decisions in their body autonomy. And also when you get into when it gets to health though, that's the worst. Like you tell me that a woman that's going to die cannot, and they're like, listen, this kid that's going to come out, it's going to have like no fucking eyes or legs. It's going to be like, that happens a lot, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Or right now it doesn't because abortion is legal, you know.
It happens a lot. I've seen it. I've seen people like post on TikTok. I'll be like, well, why are you posting this on TikTok? Like weird shit. I mean, like there's some real sad, tragic things, but like regardless, it should be a right. It should always be a right. And again, if you're opposing everything that will help mitigate, like if you were anti-abortion or whatever, but you supported all the things like, yes, I think kids should be, you know, the best way to reduce abortions. And I hate the most or whatever, this horrible, cruel practice that I hate. The best way to do it is to teach public, have sex education and provide things like prophylactics or whatever. Then I would be like, okay, I can meet you in the middle there. I agree with you a lot on this. I still think that should be an option, but I agree with you. The best way to reduce abortion is to do all these measures, and that also includes the what is that pill? The day after? What is it?
Yeah, the morning after pill.
Day after tomorrow pill.
No, the morning after pill.
Or what my favorite TikTok you just sent me recently. Was let me see if I can find the TikTok. I'm gonna play it.
It was great. It was a guy was moderating a debate between an anti-abortion activist and an abortion rights activist.
And this is possibly, let's see if I can find it. I'm gonna hold on. Let me turn it on. It's short. It's only 20 seconds.
Taking it myself.
You're taking it. Are you? You're not pregnant, are you?
I would say that this is going to end a pregnancy.
And then it just shows you Jack Black wants up the abortion pill to demonstrate how safe. Yeah. So the joke is that like, and I'm assuming this is early. This is early stage abortion, not like we're not talking like 12 weeks or anything like that. But like first trimester or whatever. Like they've had this for years now. Where it's not even has to be this complicated surgery. It's like, here's this safe, easy to use pill. You might have some discomfort, but you don't have to go to the doctor. I mean, you probably have to go to the doctor to get it or whatever, but you don't have to go to. Actually, I don't think you have to go to the doctor.
No, I think they can get it mail ordered to you.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a big
deal. So there was a debate with this woman. You can find the full video out there of it. And I think we'll tweet about it on our YSGOAT. This woman who was an anti-abortion, the woman who's like the anti-abortion looks like so funny. She looks crazy. She looks crazy. I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like, because I don't like what she stands for. I mean, like, no, she
just has very like exaggerated facial features. She looks
the
like
face she makes when that woman says, I just basically did abortion right in front of you. It's the fucking funniest scene.
It was.
I was wrong. I thought the old man, I thought she was on some church thing or whatever. The old man was like, he just like some old dude who was like a local news guy. He was just the moderator, but he seemed kind of shocked about like, what? You could have an abortion on like that just with a pill right now.
He seemed
they have that for colonoscopies. They have that for I don't know what else, prostate exams.
He did seem like not maybe shocked isn't the best. I guess he seemed shocked, like what
is great because you basically it's like well, talk about taking all the power back. You got like all these chuds for decades trying to manipulate the system. They like put in millions of dollars putting in their Congress people, their senators, their presidencies, their judges, everything, right? They've worked on this for decades. They get like the Amy Coney Barrett's on there, fucking, and even your favorite Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, yes.
King Kavanaugh. No. I know I'm just kidding. On there to basically get rid of the rights. And the joke is, it's like, honestly, I probably don't even need to ever go to an abortion clinic that you tried shutting down, or you put in those ridiculous laws like the aisle must be like 8 feet wide. You know, they would put in those crazy.
Yeah.
They did this years ago in Texas. They would put in these like forcing places to basically shut down because it would be like
they put a whole bunch of loop. Yeah,
we'd have to tear the place down. Like it's not even doable. The aisles must be 8 feet wide. It was like such nonsense. And she's just like, I'll just take this pill.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It was a big power move. I mean, like she was basically like, look, I'm going to do this and you are all powerless to stop me. And I am a normal, reasonable, well put together person, and I'm not a villain, and I'm doing this right here. And look, I'm fine. I am
literally nothing. Actually, like it's. I don't have to go to the place. I don't have to be shouted out by nut jobs hanging outside the place. I don't have to like turn this into a big medical thing. Like I said, this is I think this is probably early first trimester. I don't know the full science on it, but and it's like, and then I might have some discomfort a little bit, but you know what? But I get to go about my day. And I think that, what did you say, that lady though wanted to get her arrested or something?
I did say that. I didn't mean that. I kind of came out wrong. The woman, the anti-abortion attorney, is trying to put laws out there, trying to promote laws that would make that a felony murder. So she didn't like say about that one specific woman, I want her arrested today. But she is fighting for laws in which that would be.
I mean, because like if you could just take a pill, I mean, that's like a game changer. I don't think people are aware of it.
After that I was like, because I knew about the morning after pill. I mean, that's been around.
No, but this isn't even a morning after pill. This is not a morning after pill. They're very different. Morning after pill.
You're right.
Is not considered. This was literally an
abortion inducer.
Yeah.
I would say like the current system is real fucked up. Like having clinics that are basically magnets for lunatics to come protest at and everything.
Or blow up. Kill people that work there.
It should be like, I haven't put a ton of thought into this, but like, I don't know why there can't be like a coordinated effort, like advertising and stuff like that. Like, hey, these are your options. We'll mail them to you. It's free. We'll just drop them in the mail and hit us up. You know, I mean, like, I think that would work really well. Everybody's got access to the cell phone or the internet, even if you have to go to the library or whatever. And you say, we have these things available. They're free. You know, people will donate. People will donate to make those free. Planned Parenthood, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and the thing too. What was it? But the thing that's crazy, like, you know, you see those nut jobs that show up and they like blow up. They kill an abortion doctor. It's like, you know, Bill O'Reilly for years would call this one guy, Dr. Tiller, the baby killer, for years or something. And then a guy showed up and killed Tiller. And Bill O'Reilly, like, well, did I do that? You know, like, but it's like the same thing with that lunatic coming to the school saying, I'm going to shoot up the school. It's like, really? Wait, you woke up one day and decided that masks were the worst thing. I'm going to go bring my guns and kill everyone here because you're making my kid wear a mask. Like, where are you getting this from? I mean, like,
it's crazy.
It's clearly, it's like Facebook and all the shit you watch, Fox News, all that stuff. Like, it's fucking brain cancer.
Well, it does. And I'll tell you, it's weird. I wonder if a lot of people get used to talking shit on Twitter and Facebook and this and whatever. And it's real easy to kind of get ramped up and escalated. And most of us have a good filter where it's like, okay, I may talk a little shit on Twitter, but I'm not going to go do that to real humans in public. And some people don't have that filter. You know,
well, I mean, at some point, if you keep doing that all the time and you're like surrounded by his negative things and watching horrible things, you're gonna crack. It's like the nut who showed up at the pizza place.
Yeah.
In what was it, early 2017. The guy, some nut, literally shot windows at the. He didn't just show up with a gun. He shot at the what's the name of the pizza place?
Comet Pizza
in Washington D.C. He actually shot it because he really thought, because of all the right wing insane stuff pushed by like Alex Jones and Jack Posobiec and all that there was a sex ring in a basement, and this lunatic was like, I'm a hero here. I'm going to save these kids.
It is crazy, but it could be a game changer if let's say, and again, I mean, I would be careful in the way I say this, but like, what if we got rid of abortion clinics? What if the model was, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send pills out when needed, and we can have it, if you need a procedure done.
I don't think there's any actual abortion clinics. There's places that just do them. There's like, I would say that like a lot of these places, it's female, like they help with female reproductive and everything.
Right. And it's like on Wednesdays, we'll do these procedures.
To say, so I know what you're saying though. Like, it kind of removes like an element and gives more privacy. It's like, you don't fucking know that I did this. You didn't see me have a car show up at the fucking place. You can't come after me. You don't fucking know. I took something. You have no idea. I got it. As far as you know, I got some fucking Tylenol in the mail, and it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah. See, I mean, I guess that's a better way of saying it, is like, you can keep the freestanding Planned Parenthoods or whatever, but like, what if they're just not doing abortions there? And they make it available through pill or whatever. I
mean, again, I know what you're saying.
Send out visiting nurses.
I think you still need those services.
But what
it does is it just allows people to make better decisions on their own without having to get influenced. Like there's all those like those fake women's centers that pretend to they trick women into thinking.
Oh yeah,
the place that they get an abortion, and then you find out it's like connected to some church.
Yeah.
Fucking problem is the government fucking gives these things tax breaks. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
You get these women that show up to places who like struggling.
Yeah, it's a pregnancy crisis center.
They take a day off to go, and then they go to this place and they get talked into by some person who's like basically gives them like a sonogram, showing like, oh look, here's your heartbeat and all this stuff. And you're just like, the fuck,
Yeah.
This just gives back. It's just great how that woman like basically like,
it was pretty good.
I'm taking all the power back. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You could put on every goddamn fucking judge. You could put on every, you can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, all I do is take a pill.
Well, if this fight's ever going to be won, it's going to be won by people like that are pretty brave and pretty out in the open with stuff like this, and kind of normalize it and put a face on it, and unashamedly take control of the situation.
Yeah.
Who looked more like, even just from an objective standpoint, the woman who took the pill looked real rational and coherent, and the other person just kept like shaking and rolling her eyes. Yeah. So
Reverend Lovejoy's wife from that meme. What would they think of the children?
Right.
That meme?
Yeah.
The GIF. All right. So speaking of other crazy shit, in Florida,
right?
They put in what is this? They put in.
I just heard about this today. It's called. There's a real. It's
husbandry.
It's basically one of those parental rights bills. And a lot of Texas is passing one. A lot of states are passing them that basically say parents have certain rights when it comes to public education. And the Florida one is kind of weird because it's not only parents, and this part is true. They're saying basically that anyone living in the district is an interested party, and I believe that because like if you're paying property taxes, you're supporting the schools, and one of the first things people look for in a neighborhood is good schools. Anyway, it's basically a law that says in the state of Florida, teachers can't discuss gay lesbian, gay, transgender, can't discuss those issues, period. Can't discuss them. And like, for instance, when I used to teach The Great Gatsby, there's a decent amount of evidence there that the main character, Nick Carraway, is gay, and it's real subtle, but like once you start looking at it, you're like, oh God, yeah, this guy's clearly gay. That's interesting that
probably the blowjob scene.
Well, there's a scene where he like gets drunk and he wakes up on a dude's bed,
right?
Like it's not like exactly subtext. It's, but you can't do that. You wouldn't be able to teach that anymore in the state of Florida.
That's
and
insane.
that would, and again, like this is kind of a dumb example, but like, so when kids start saying, well, why didn't Nick sleep with Jordan Baker, the beautiful woman, you'd have to be like, I don't know, just one of those things.
He didn't feel like it that day.
But he was all man, like he was. But then one of the more nefarious things is it would allow teachers to call parents if the kid had acted gay in school.
That's insane.
Which would be like, oh, Timmy wants to identify as Tammy. I'm going to call the mom and see what she says about that. And up until now, teachers are generally said, like, that's not your role to out a kid,
yeah, that's some real backward shit right here.
Well, it's like aggressively harmful, and that's the kind of shit that will get a kid killed or abused. You call some,
bullied.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it seems
all it does is normalizing bullying.
Yeah.
Literally. That's all it does right from the start. That's the first step. It normalizes bullying. And then you have like, what's that famous, the gay guy who was killed by those two people in like Tennessee, or I don't know what state.
About like the Boys Don't Cry case, the Hillary Swank.
No,
movie.
Not that one. Not that movie. It
Matthew Shepard, I think.
Maybe that one. Yeah. Like he was killed by these two guys, like on the road. They like fucking beat the crap. Like his body was found.
Yeah,
like on
I think
fence.
it was Matthew Shepard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what it leads to, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It just leads to that. It's the same thing. It's like all this like is except if you put in something that is accepting big, if the thing you're putting in is meant to harm somebody, to normalize harming someone, it'll lead to more extreme. It's just going to.
I'll tell you.
Wait, if they had like laws that prevented that, will there be Matthew Shepard? That yes, of course it can happen. Humanity has the amazing ability to kill each other regardless of what.
Yeah, sure.
But the numbers go down.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I think is spurring a lot of this is that kids are generally pretty progressive, to be perfectly frank. Now, I'm not saying there aren't bullies and there are kids.
Like some of them, it's not even that they're progressive. It's like it's not weird to them.
Yeah. I was always surprised when I taught, and again, it wasn't perfect, and I don't want to give the impression that it was like some sort of utopian whatever, but like in general, kids were pretty accepting of differences, like, I mean, never mind like they're dating people from different races or ethnicities. That was like super commonplace. And kids that had different religious beliefs, that was super commonplace. And gay and lesbian issue, that was like relatively common. Like there's like a decent amount of progress that was like on the way. And I can see some parents are just freaked the fuck out about it. They're kicking and screaming. They don't want things to progress. And this is what you get. These don't say gay laws, and they're gonna fail.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's like, dude, it's 2022. Like, this is in 2002.
Yeah, you're not gonna
2022. What the fuck are you like?
You're not going to make being gay any less socially acceptable than it is currently, right? You're not. Did
you see what was it, that Christian Walker guy? The Herschel Walker's son.
Oh yeah,
he's the young gay guy who's like a Republican. He's like really obnoxious. Well, I guess he must have read the room or something. So now he's claiming because he's trying. He wants to be like the next like Milo or whatever.
Right.
Just next right wing grifter celebrity or whatever. He claimed that he wasn't gay. I guess he just likes men.
Oh yeah, no, that's
yeah. I mean,
so he doesn't identify.
Wait. I don't know. My brain kind of hurts there a little bit. I mean, the end still is the same.
Oh, well,
yeah. Well, I guess he must have like. He needs like I don't know, like maybe that side that you're rooting for isn't very accepting of you, or you're just such a grifter that you don't care.
Yeah, and where are you? Where's your family running for office? Georgia, you say, Lisa?
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to play in Hazard County there, buddy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds backwards as shit. It's just almost like an oddity. I mean, like, I'm just so used to them just going after trans kids. Maybe their hubris is like, we'll just throw in some gay stuff. Like, we'll attack gay kids too again.
Well,
because I mean, that's the point. You go after trans people first.
Yeah.
And then you go after the gay people afterwards, because it's like, you get people to be used to being hateful.
Yeah.
And then and then start being like, yeah, those gays too. Like, wait, what?
Well, it's just such a weird one to me. Like, there's it in my head, logically, it just seems like such a losing issue. So many people have friends and family members that are gay or lesbian or bi. More and more, it's not uncommon to see kids identify as being like non-binary or gender fluid or trans or whatever. I mean, like these are not terribly uncommon things anymore, and the trends have been incredibly strong for accepting this.
I just find it so funny that, like, I grew up in the age that I am and the years that I grew up in. That's why I end up unfollowing so many people on Facebook that I went to high school with. Couldn't believe how incredibly backwards a lot of these people are. And like, these are people I thought growing up were like, I mean, some of them were always assholes, and I'm not shocked, but then there's some of them was like shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought you were accepting of these people. We were all in the drama department together. There
right. Yeah.
A bunch of gay dudes in there. You knew whether you were friends with them. Like, and you're like, what? Like, you just woke up one day and became your racist dad. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird. I thought my generation was supposed to be like the one that was going to be more accepting. I'm almost like a little disappointed. Like, I'm 44. I thought my generation was supposed to be like, and it was like, no, because it was just like the beginning. All these people grew up on 80s movies, man. Some of those movies, I can't even show them to my son because like they'll scream like the F word or whatever, like and it's like casually said, like without even freaking Bill and Ted, it gets said, and I'm like,
yep.
And I have to remind my son, like, this movie's 35 years old.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and I still don't understand how it got so successful so quickly. But like, I remember when I was in high school, I went to high school in the early 80s. Homophobia and hateful language towards gay and lesbian, it was rampant, and it was casual, and it was pretty everywhere. And then by like 92, 93, the tide had turned incredibly.
I think it's probably the Bush years. I think the Bush years definitely came in and fucked that up, especially with their like anti-gay marriage thing and that. But then I think that ended up having a backlash and then flipping it and then being like, no, this is not who we are or whatever. And people started becoming more acceptable. So I find it odd that this is something that's getting pushed, but it's like, it's clearly people who probably were pushing. It starts with like, you get people on board who don't really understand like trans people or understand it. And be like, we don't want like a trans girl, wrestling other girls or whatever. And it's like, and you can see some person who isn't aware, and they're probably not really a bad person. They're like, yeah, you're right. I don't think they have a fair advantage, right? And I think they're wrong, but whatever. Like, it starts there. And that's where it starts. Like this innocent thing. I just don't think that trans people should be like participating and have an unfair advantage, even though it's been proven bullshit hundreds of times. But that's how it works.
It's also been proven
that way. And then all of a sudden now you're taking rights away from little kids, and then you're putting in the you're supporting somebody putting in a bill like, don't put the, what is it?
The don't say gay bill.
Yeah, like it starts with that, and that's how you get people back into the being a homophobe bill. That's why I always was questionable, like gay people like who didn't support like trans people. Because it's like, dude, it's all part of the same thing. It's like you can't, it will bite you right back in the ass right again. It'll come right back at you. That's how it works. They go after the most marginalized.
They divide and conquer,
and then they work it in, and all of a sudden now they're going after you. That's exactly what it's designed. That's why I never understood it's like that whole LG. What was it, like Chappelle when he put out that awful joke and he said something about he was basically trying to claim that he was saying LGBT was like a car or whatever, or LGBT was a car, and that the trans people was the one that were there. It's their fault for setting the car back or something.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's so fucked up. That's actually even more fucked up in so many ways. You're basically blaming these people. So now you're putting into people's minds that you're just a lesbian or a homosexual or whatever, and these trans people, they're the ones that are holding you back now.
Yeah.
That's so fucking
it
evil.
Is. Well, that's such a common strategy, you build you get people that are capos basically, or they'll police their own, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just hey, you guys got your marriage now, everything's fine with you.
Yeah,
it's these people that are gonna make it all for you, and then it's like, no, they're gonna come right back after you next, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I will say this kind of ties into the next topic, that Youngkin, the governor in Virginia, because Florida's been doing a lot of bullshit rules, but that the state of Virginia elected a Republican governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, and they've wasted no time. There's a slew of executive orders, literally hours after the guy was.
When did he get sworn in?
It was a couple days ago, I think.
It's crazy that it's been a year now, pretty much. Yeah.
And then he banned all mask mandates. He did a Greg Abbott and said
he said he was going to. That was one of the things he ran for.
That's how he got elected. I know that's how he got elected. I know that's how
he squeaked in.
Well, I think a lot of people are real persuadable when it comes to an anti-mask message. And I think the anti-mask people are super motivated. And the pro-mask people, they hadn't been fighting the fight like we have in Texas. They were comfortable and they were used to it, and it didn't seem like a pressing issue to them, So anyway, one of the first things he did is get rid of the mask mandate. The second thing he did is he built a website designed so that any parent could anonymously tip the government that a teacher was suggesting masks were a good idea.
Yeah.
So and that went about as well as you can imagine. It was immediately flooded with some really bullshit tips from the general public. Which
any good ones? I think I heard about this.
Yeah,
funny ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of them would just text 10.
Wasn't there the same thing with the bounty hunting system here in Texas too? It got overrun with ridiculous that's the way to do it. You just clog up the system to the point where it's just so bullshit. They can't decipher what's real or not.
Yeah, it's pointless, I mean, you could easily just go make a Proton Mail email account, get a school roster, and say every teacher in the school is doing it, and then go to the next school, and then the next school, and then you have a list of every teacher in the state.
This is so anti-public education. This is so first of all, it's okay, this we should really do a COVID tracker on Virginia. How well they were handling it a month ago versus now.
Well,
they should do December versus February and see if the rates balloon in Virginia because of this asshole.
I would say that would be a good strategy, but I did hear, and
he'll just hide it.
Well, they're saying basically that more than half of Virginia school districts are openly defying the governor's mask optional order. So a lot of school districts are just like, no, we're not going to follow that.
Good. I mean, like, I would imagine what's the big city in Virginia that's near DC?
Not Raleigh, Durham. That's North Carolina. What is the big city? Richmond? Is that
maybe
it?
I don't know. It's like whatever the big one that usually ends up deciding the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like, fuck you. I mean, this guy's coming in thinking he's Greg Abbott or DeSantis. Like,
this guy looks like a shithead too. He's
an asshole. The thing is, this guy, people were like tricked into thinking he was like a non-Trumper. It's like, dude, he's a Republican. They're all Trump.
Yeah.
Trump is the GOP and the GOP is Trump. They were already crazy before he came along.
This happens every once in a while in states like Virginia where progressives get complacent. They're making gains. Like in Virginia, it was like the Democrats were running the show and then they get wiped out on something stupid. And like sometimes it's like a gay marriage scare. And this time it was a school and masks scare.
People just react, and that's how it works. They know that people are reactionary. They don't think of anything else. They just think of like the most immediate, and then you get like these people who are like, I'll see like right-wingers make this joke, like they'll make fun of like the mask mandate and then say it's all bullshit, doesn't work anyway, because like people go to restaurants and like they go in with the mask and then they sit down, take the mask off when they eat, and then maybe put it back on when they go to the bathroom or leave. And it's like, how's that preventing the virus? And I would say, yeah, you're right. That's a good point. It is silly. Maybe people shouldn't be going out to eat. And like the way we could have slowed it down is if the government like supported these businesses like for a month and we just did a harsh shutdown so that the virus was controlled. Maybe that's the thing. I mean, like, it's like they're trying to like, they want to add doubt to mass working.
Yeah.
But they're ignoring the whole part of like, yeah, maybe people shouldn't go out to eat during a pandemic. Maybe that's
I get like, look, I'll be real clear. The vaccine is 100% safe. It's fine. I got mine. My whole family got theirs. Whatever. I much more understand someone being hesitant to get a vaccine than I understand someone being hesitant to wear a mask.
The mask thing is you're just an asshole to me.
For the life of me, can't understand why that's a big deal amongst people.
I know it was like from day one, they were jerks about it. Like there was like, I ain't wearing one. And they'll
I just
bring up Fauci in March saying don't.
I mean, you wear pants, right? Like people wear pants.
Yeah, I people like me will not understand that this is the easiest, most simple thing to do. And like the vaccine, I get it. It's a different situation. I still think you're wrong, or that not you. I mean, like I think this person that won't get it. It's like you really have misinformation unless you really, really truthfully have proof that you medically cannot get one. Like there are people like that exist, but I feel like it makes you think that none of these people exist because the ones that come out and lie about it, they'll say like some bullshit. It's a medical reason why they can't get one. They're lying. They're fucking lying. A lot of these people, but there are people who really are like,
I believe that.
But the mask thing, to this day, I don't get it. So when those guys make those little jokes about the eating out thing, it's like they're just adding doubt. Everything's always about adding doubt. Like, oh, why get now the new anti-vaxxers like, well, you're still going to get COVID or you can still spread it. Why are you getting the vaccine? It's like, so I don't have dying and getting it thrown like or going to the hospital, end up on a ventilator. Like it's a known fact that it's like, isn't that literally what vaccines do in general? Is weaken it so that if you got it, like even like what, like the measles, like it makes sure that the measles doesn't affect you. You could probably maybe get a little sick, right? I mean,
honestly, I don't know.
I feel like that's such a targeted disease that's like different. Like COVID, unfortunately, is like the flu or the cold in a way where it's not a cold, but like where there's going to be all these fucking variants because people let it get out of control and it's going to fucking mutate and turn into all these different things. and it's just going to make it hard for vaccines to work. I mean, that's the other reason too. It's like, yeah, they made a vaccine that worked on COVID, and then Delta came because they didn't get the vaccines out quick enough. But then it was proven that like Moderna and Pfizer were good on Delta, but like Johnson & Johnson really wasn't that good. But then the Omicron came along, and it was like, all right, listen, vaccine, this one just is so much more transmissible that it's going to be more difficult, but you will not end up in the hospital and in a ventilator or dead if you're vaccinated.
Yeah.
Your chances go down greatly. And these assholes, they always try to do that. They think they're being like sneaky or coy. They're like, well, it doesn't stop you from getting it. You're still going to get it. And it's like, yeah, that's not the point. It's like the same thing with the flu virus. The flu shot doesn't stop you from getting. You can still get the flu. You just, it might be one day you're not feeling good, as opposed to 2 fucking weeks.
Well, I don't know. It is. I think Youngkin is a good cautionary tale. It's people always got to be vigilant, because this guy's going to be a colossal shithead for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and all these people are going to be like, I always love it. These people who like don't pay attention at all. They're like, dude, this is every Republican.
Yeah,
they're all like this. They just are. Like, especially now. Like,
yeah.
And this guy was definitely a product of, like, he was not a good faith politician. No. He's a reaction to, like, the Biden trying to run on the whole MAGA thing. The only thing I could say is that, he's only going to be around 4 years. The question is, do people stop doing this? It's like sometimes like the same thing too. It's like, oh, do you really like Joe Biden? Do I like him? Is he my favorite? No, but you know what? I understand how like politics work, and I understand that like if I want anything close to what I want done, you got to vote for a Democrat, because the Republican's going to do not just not do it, but do the complete opposite.
Yeah, this isn't hard to understand. This is a very easy equation.
I'm sorry that you don't feel like you could have a beer with Al Gore.
Right. Yeah.
And now, like 9/11 happened. You know what I mean? Or like, and every disaster since 2000 has happened, because you didn't want to have a beer with Al Gore. It's like,
or that you found Hillary shrill.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, who cares? Who gives a shit? Like,
but now we have
president. Yeah, probably not. But
now we have a 6-3 conservative Supreme Court for the next 20 years.
Like we're literally like, it's done. It's over. It's over for the next 15, 20 years. And all you could hope for is that like one, Breyer retires.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that will prevent anything from really happening is if Biden stacked the court. I don't think that's going to happen. When we were talking, I looked up the ages of Alito and Thomas. They ain't retiring anytime soon. They got a good decade in them. Thomas is 73 and Alito is 71. These guys are not that old. The right wing has always been smart at putting youngish people in. I mean, like Amy Coney Barrett's my age, I think.
Yeah, she's real young.
I'll probably be dead before she ever retires. I mean, who knows?
Amy, is she? Yeah, she's.
Like, but that's the thing, and that's why like Biden, like, you better put in someone who's like fucking 42 or something. Like,
easily.
That, like, when it's time for her to, like, they just have to play the long game a little more. But or how about they just get rid of the fucking Supreme Court? Like, it's ridiculous. It's totally illegitimate. Like they were trying to say, like, the right wing was trying to say that Breyer was retiring is illegitimate. Like what? Fucking Kennedy retiring was illegitimate. It was the fact that he got paid off for something for his son. Something to do.
No,
Kennedy. Something to do with his son.
Well, his son worked at Deutsche Bank, which had something to do with Trump. I mean, there's something there. Like,
there was no. Kennedy did not have to retire. He was not that old.
Yeah.
I mean, all that. So they're gonna. They don't care. They have no scruples. They're gonna say.
Well, and they don't have any shame. Is the thing? Is that's normally shame would prevent you from putting Coney Barrett on the bench after having made a big deal about Merrick Garland. But if you don't have any shame, it's not a big deal. You just do whatever the hell you want. Yeah.
But that's how you get things done. I mean, is it the right way to get things done? No, but you know what the results are.
Yeah.
End up being the right way because you got what you wanted. I don't know. It's like they do everything that like we're supposedly told as children not to do.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Well, speaking of children and what not to do,
Oh God.
Matt Gaetz is back in the news.
Giggity.
Yeah, he a while ago, like the big news, he's had three shitty things happen to him legally over the last 7-8 months. The first is that tax collector, tax assessor, he was good friends with Greenwald or something like that, went down and had to plea bargain his case and agreed to cooperate. And most people think he has incriminating evidence against Matt Gaetz. Right. And then not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, Matt Gaetz's ex-girlfriend agreed to testify against him. And that's bad news when your ex agrees to talk to officials about you, you know.
Right.
And then today it was released that a Florida shock jock took some sort of agreement with prosecutors to provide information. And a lot of people are saying that this is going to push up the Matt Gaetz's arrest timeline considerably. He should be arrested fairly soon, assuming that there is fire underneath all this smoke.
Right.
So that'll be good. I so hope Matt Gaetz gets arrested.
Well, I mean, it's like one of those things where I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Me too.
Like, I think the biggest thing would be that he is forced to resign.
Yeah.
I think at some point he's just going to be a irrelevant Republican. Like he's just an asshole. He's like especially like I think he peaked under the Trump years. I don't see him. He's not going to be like a national threat. I find people like Dan Crenshaw more dangerous because Dan Crenshaw sounds like a more reasonable guy. You know, like people could be like, yeah, he just seems like a regular dude. He's smart sounding, but Matt Gaetz just sounds like just a repugnant child. Like
that's the other thing. It's like Dan Crenshaw wants to be in government. He wants to stay in office. He wants to work with policy and laws. I'm not saying he's smart. I'm definitely not saying he's good.
I don't know if he wants to work with policy and laws, but I think he just wants power.
He wants to do shit like that. Matt Gaetz would be just as happy on a Fox show.
Yeah.
You know, Matt, you're right. Like Matt Gaetz, even if nothing happens to him, he'll eventually go do something in the private sector because he gets more money. You know?
Yeah. He's just a buffoon. Like he's a
clown.
Yeah. Like I said, I think politically he peaked under Trump. I don't see there ain't going to be no I mean, I could say that. What about Trump? You know, again, Trump was an anomaly.
Yeah.
Guy was like a celebrity. Like he came at the right time. He ran at the right time at the right moment.
It was the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I guess on our topic list,
I'll say real quick. Yeah. He was smart enough not to remember he was going to run in 2012.
Yeah.
Trump. He was smart enough when he got decimated by Obama.
Yeah.
At the
press club dinner.
Press club thing, White House press corps dinner thing, and Obama just eviscerated him.
Yeah.
There was no fucking way he was going to run against him. No way. He was way too charismatic and likable and funny to like.
Yeah.
Trump would not stand a chance to him.
That's true. Well, this is kind of like a mix of Trump and legal stuff. An interesting thing that's been going on in the background is a lot of the legal stuff going on regarding the 2020 election. And we often get frustrated, or I get frustrated about the lack of progress in the January 6th committee and stuff. But I guess the district attorney in Atlanta has got to go ahead to impanel a grand jury, which is a huge, big deal.
In Atlanta? Oh, this has to do with the
the vote tampering.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking deal. And
there was a bunch of fake.
Yeah.
What was it? Certificates that were forged certificates that were made.
A bunch of Trump allies in about 11 states, I think, sent forged documents to the National Archive. Just fucking forged documents, and sent them like hoping that they would accidentally elect Trump. And that's illegal. And I've seen like a lot of lawyers talk about it, and in some states the law is like less clear than in others, but like all of these are forged government documents that people submitted to a federal institution. So there's a lot of like investigations going on here with that, which is really good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it'll lead to.
Yeah.
Did you see he came out recently and said he was going to be he wants to be called the 47th president, Trump?
Oh no. What was his logic for that?
Well, he, because he was 45 and
and he thinks he's going to be,
so, he still claims he's going to run again. He's the 47th president.
Yeah. Well,
let me tell you, if he got back in, that would be hell. That would
if he got elected, yeah.
That would be like, I just don't even think he should run. I think it's a loss if he even gets to run again.
Yeah, I agree, because just the anxiety and if Trump is running in 2024 against Biden, then the Trump cultists are going to be nightmarish.
They said that he's probably waiting on the 2022 election. The minute if the House goes back to Republicans, which unfortunately there is a strong chance it could, based on the fucking what do you call it? The census, creating new districts and everything.
Yeah.
Which the Republicans fucked with.
Yeah.
Under Trump's presidency, they fucked with the census. They did it on purpose. They might take the House if they somehow. I can't imagine them taking the Senate, but then again, who the fuck knows? People like Sinema and Manchin are definitely the types that have hurt the Democrats as a whole. Yeah. So people might vote against the Dems in the Senate based on that too. So if the Republicans take back the House and Senate in 2022, Trump's definitely running again. Like, he'll see that as his, like, this is like the country is sending a signal saying they want me back as president. Like,
and it also may solve a lot of his legal problems.
That too. Yeah. But
so,
I mean, of course there's that, but I could just see that they could create a narrative that way. Look, you lost the House and Senate, even though I guess he didn't lose the Senate, but he lost the House and he lost a lot of governorships when he was president. I wish he would just go into the dustbins of history, or, be fucking arrested finally for
if they don't arrest him, then I don't know what. The
only thing that will stop him is nature.
Well, then what would stop the next person? You
have to build up that next person. The next person doesn't just if Trump drops dead next year, right?
Yeah.
You don't have anyone after that. It takes time. You need in 4 years it could be another psychopath, but
it'd be like a Ron DeSantis
what?
Ron DeSantis or someone like that.
Yeah, but Ron DeSantis is so milksop and lame. He does not have the ability what Trump does. He doesn't have Trump's a loudmouth bully asshole.
Yeah, that is true.
DeSantis is he's the kid from at best he's the bully sidekick in A Christmas Story. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not the kid with the tiger eyes and the raccoon cap, the bully. Yeah. He's just a little shitty Fargus, I think his name was, the little shitty friend. I'm just saying that that's only, in the end of the day, that's really all they have is Trump still.
Yeah.
And if he were to hamburgered himself, they would have nothing. No one likes his kids. His kids suck.
Yeah.
Not running for shit. What, Tucker Carlson? I don't know.
It's well, and you're right. They don't have a super cohesive platform. I guess they can say they are for banning mask mandates. But aside from that, it's like, you know, they have a weird mix of platforms that like don't really speak to urgent needs. You know, I don't know. It's an odd one.
If you don't have, they could be against mask mandates, and what they do, it just depends on who's running. It's like, you know, you get like a Dan Crenshaw in there who runs, or that type, and he uses like a type of language of like, we don't like the excessive nanny states or the excessive restrictions on masks, or, you know, they would use that term, but in the end, it all means the same thing. They're anti people wearing face masks. Like it's all, it's just who's delivering the line, you know? And I don't know, but that polling thing, I mean, that fake electoral thing is kind of frightening.
Yeah, it seems like it's a big deal. It seems like a big deal too, because it's like these people signed their name to something. It's not like a lot of the other stuff is like oral, you know, like it's something someone said, and they're like, well, if you look at it, you know, like there's some wiggle room. These seem like pretty straightforward crimes,
aren't they?
You know,
forgery.
Yeah, well, it's like forgery and like.
So like, how is it even? Like, it's a fucking crime, right?
I don't know why this requires investigation. So
what?
I don't know why it requires investigation. This seems.
Is that what they're doing right now? They're just investigating. Like, I mean, it should still end with arrest.
Yeah.
Everyone who handed in one of those things should be arrested. I mean, there's voter fraud. That's people get arrested for that. Like,
right? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Doesn't make, like, how are they? This is what I'm talking about. It's like you just got to get powerful enough.
Yeah.
And high enough, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Wee.
Well, yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right. Well, I'm gonna go back and watch the Mandalorian again.
Yeah, right.
It was such a good episode.
First 10 minutes are dynamite. The fight scene.
Just him walking slowly for like Peter Griffin with his knee.
Yeah.
Like I just love this like little slow walk when he's going through the city. That seems so cool. It reminded me of like movies and stuff. Like I'm sure people will pick up on it. Like when he goes into that nightclub and there's like at the table, there's like crazy looking alien.
Yeah.
The other aliens around it and it's talking, but like the way it's shot and goes around the room.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, they took that from, that has to be
some classic movie.
It's definitely some current like crime film or whatever. It's such a cool scene.
Yep. Yeah.
Wait, and that's what I'm saying again. I know we're tail ending it. We're bringing back the Mandalorian, just like the way Mandalorian from Book of Boba Fett.
Sure.
That I think will be the thing that can confuse people the most about that episode is that everything about it, the whole thing focuses on the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And people the whole time are gonna be watching it. And like we were like, when they showed that scene when he fights the guys, I was like, oh, cool. And then they're gonna like, now he's got his bounty and next scene he's gonna find out that Boba Fett needs help and he's gonna show up. And then like, no, he's at the armory. And I was like, he's not. And then I was like, all right, I paused that, look at the thing, it still says like a half hour left. I'm like, all right, he's in this scene, he's gonna go to the book to see Boba Fett. And then like, no, he goes to hang out with Jerry Blank for like
just another 20 minutes.
Ship. And I'm like, wait, maybe I was like, where's Boba Fett?
Yeah.
I want to see him ride a Rancor already. They better fucking have him running around.
Yeah. If you say that you're gonna consider doing that, you gotta deliver.
It's like, you know, it's like right now what we saw was like a sleepy Rancor.
Right.
And like his hand, the hand coming jutting through the bottom. Remember that? Like basically all we got was like the sleeping hippo that you see at the zoo. You know, like you go to the zoo, you just see animals sleeping.
It's like Chekhov's theory of a Rancor. If you have a Rancor in Act 1, then by Act 3, someone's got to be riding that Rancor. That's it.
Hell, as old as time. Definitely, yeah. As he wrote that, yeah. What year did he come up with that?
It was like a while ago. It was a while ago.
Wow, ago. Probably around time we're Return of the Jedi because it wouldn't make any other sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.